The dojo is in the house. What it do? It is your boy, Dojo. And I'm back again with another video. And this time we're bringing back an old series that I only did 2 of. Lore videos. Why are we bringing it back? Because of the new UR Ark that just dropped. And if you guys are in any of the Discords, you will all know that one, I pulled this off of a single, which has never happened before. I haven't even pulled SRs off of singles. I don't think. Do not go back and watch. Go back and watch my old other videos and let me know if I did. But yes, I got the Holy War Ark off of a single summon. It was wild. It was just literally a random single. And so now, wait a minute. That's funny. So I got the Great War and the Holy War Ark. That's cool. And first and foremost, let's just admire the art real quick. Last Cloudia is freaking wow, I'm at a loss for words. Last Claudia's I'm really drawing a blank right here. Artist team, this is probably like the only part of the lore video that I didn't practice. Their art team is amazing. LC needs to be an anime. I need to see this. But as you guys can see from the people who have finished the story, we all know Baran, Rabala, Ruuto, aka Zuglis, and the main character of this lore video right here. We don't know her name, and yes, it is a her. It is confirmed that it is a her, which we will all learn in the story. In the story that we're about to actually go through, I went through as soon as I made the connections, and I can fairly say with confidence that hopefully this character is going to become an actual summonable unit. And I also have some speculation on who and where we might see them. So with that being said, let's get into the story. And I will be reading it. I am going to make connections, so you'll see me jump between characters mostly for my context clues and making references like that. So without further ado, let's get into it. There was once a person who traveled Granzelia, gathering a party in order to defeat the god of ruin, Lougseus. I first heard about this story from a soldier I met in a bar. The soldier had frustratedly claimed that he was once a part of this party, but was forced to leave the group due to an injury. At first, I thought this was just a tall tale from a drunk, but once I heard another person telling the same story in an entirely different place, I realized that his story was not just some inebriated rambling. That was when I began to take the idea more seriously and began a casual investigation into it. During the process of my investigation, I selfishly thought that if I were to find out some new information about the God of Ruin, perhaps I could become a famous historian. However, while my investigation progressed, I soon grew ashamed of the sheer selfishness I had displayed, as I learned of the great strength and bravery of the traveler and the group he formed to stand against the God of Ruin's might. From the information I had collected, I discovered that the party had originated when a central member, the young Ruuto's sister, was discovered to have an immense amount of ether. The village the siblings were born in was known for raising and protecting any person deemed to be a spirit maiden. Ruuto's younger sister had been recognized as having that power and was brought up as a spirit maiden. In and of itself, that would normally be a bad thing. In some ways, it would be a cause for great joy. However, it just so happened that at that time, signs and portents of the return of the God of Ruin began to be seen throughout the world. Originally, the God of Ruin was sealed through the sacrifice of the Spirit Maiden who traveled with the great hero, Adel. If the God of Ruin was truly returning, it would have inevitably affect Ruuto's sister. In the worst case scenario, she too could conceivably have to sacrifice herself in order to once again seal away the God of Ruin. The Spirit Maiden that they're all talking about, if you've been following the story, or if you're new, spoilers ahead, was Sarah. She was the quote unquote original Spirit Maiden. We're not going to call her the first one. There's obviously been Spirit Maidens past her, like behind her, kind of like the avatars and everything. But at the time when Adel was the original hero of his own story, he traveled with her. So, if the God of Ruin was truly returning, it would inevitably affect Ruuto's sister. In the worst case scenario, she too could conceivably have to sacrifice herself in order to once again seal away the God of Ruin. It was from this possibility that Ruuto came to the conclusion that he did. He knew that if anything, he must protect his sister, and he decided the best way to protect her was to preemptively defeat the God of Ruin. In order to defeat the God of Ruin, Ruuto left his sister and his village behind. Up until that point, he had already spent much time traveling all throughout Granzelia and had become a first-class swordsman. He could slaughter any normal beast in an instant. However, this strength supposedly prevented him from overestimating his own abilities, as he could understand the near impossibility of defeating the God of Ruin on his own. Because of this, he traveled around Granzelia collecting any information he could about the God of Ruin and searched for comrades in arms who would stand with him. The number of people that Ruuto reached out to was, counting only the known cases, in the dozens. Among those who traveled together with him were many masters, sorcerers, and swordsmen still widely renowned today, such as Feld, the Twin Blade, Holy Thaumaturgy Leche, Goran the Fortress Razor, and Snakebone Zahara. Pause. These better become units at some point or another, right? They're way back in time, right? They're before Kyle, they're before Lilibet, they're before Theria. Like, they're there in their younger days, right? This was when Ruuto and Lilibet's parents were going off to fight Lougseus himself, right? These characters, right? Especially, I'm gonna say this, Holy Thaumaturgy Leche, there is a whole skill that is, I'm going to assume, based off of him. So getting some more lore on how he fight, he might be like a like, who can I make a reference to? I'm just gonna, Elden Ring, Roger, who used sorceries and swordplay. So it'd be very cool to have him. Snakebone Zara, I'm not gonna say woman, but they sound edgy and cool, and I want them. I know Goran the Fortress Razor sounds all, but no, I want Snakebone Zahara. I want something. I'm gonna put the scene here. But it's from the Chivalrous Samurai, I believe. Would do with the snake sword, that with this like bone snake sword. They used to just, I need that for Snakebone Zahara or something like that. Anywho, however, Ruuto's party was consistently under attack by the forces of the God of Ruin, making his journey an arduous one. Due to this, many of the friends who traveled with him were injured and forced to leave the party or lost their will to see the mission through to the end. All of those mentioned above left for one reason or another. The group that ultimately set off to battle the God of Ruin with Ruuto contained the husband and wife said to be the greatest soldier and sorceress from the Beast Alliance Blaze, and a mysterious swordswoman. Ruuto met the soldier and sorcerer during a visit to Blaze Garden and became close with them, but the identity of the swordswoman is still unknown. Even the name she gave was clearly a fake one. The one things definitely known about her are that she had amazing sword skills and seemed to hail from the Empire. Ruuto himself never tried to investigate her origin. The only thing he required of his traveling companions was that they were powerful and had the will to defeat the God of Ruin. So, this is a chick. Like I said, it was a mysterious swordswoman. Strong, and she hailed from the Empire. Now, if we all remember correctly, 3 key characters were nurtured by a swordswoman. And I just so happen to put them in a party. And the first one that we're going to reference, because if you noticed, look at the sword. Look at the sword he's wielding. Right? If we go to the actual image, that sword looks mighty familiar. That sword looks mighty familiar. It's smaller. It's smaller than our boy Lanceveil's sword. But the resemblance is uncanny. The resemblance is uncanny. And to further support this, let's take a little excerpt from our boy Lanceveil. After many missions, Lanceveil was one day suddenly visited by his older sister. It was completely out of the blue, and his sister didn't seem to have an urgent subject to discuss. She did, however, have something to tell him. Lance, you get too focused on your surroundings. It's your strong point, but it can also be your downfall. You need to take action freely and do what you want, what you feel is right. Then you might see the world a little differently. Lanceveil did think it was an unusual thing for her to say, but he nodded to her sister, unaware of what was to come. The next morning, she left the Empire. Lanceveil was unable to comprehend his sister's true reason for leaving the Empire. However, in his heart, he understood that she said those words because she was planning to never return. Despite all of his emotions dragging him down, Lanceveil knew that his sister must have left the Empire with a great vision and strong will. After his sister had left, Lanceveil's determination to support Roland grew stronger. In his heart, he decided to swear absolute loyalty to the prince and became his most trusted ally. A matching sword, right? Sword matches the female warriors. I guess we'll say single-handed sword because Lance technically two-hands it. And she leaves after giving him a bit of advice. And if you have played Lanceveil's quest, well, we all know he became a monster. He became a monster after finally understanding what his sister wanted him to realize. But that's besides the point. Eliza. Right here. Now for Eliza. With her excellent grades, Eliza was close to graduation when she was suddenly visited by the young lady that had recommended her to the institute. Ellie, you often get so focused on certain things that you fail to see your surroundings clearly. Sometimes it's just as important to take a step back and look around you. This was the advice the young lady gave to Eliza, knowing since her childhood, Eliza could tell that she was not her usual self. That something was off. Although Eliza wanted to ask more questions, she felt this meeting meant something special. So she nodded in silence. It was the next day Eliza learned the news that the young lady had left the Empire. And finally, our boy Roland. Now for Roland, it's a little different. He doesn't explicitly have a meeting. He doesn't have a meeting with the sister after he fully takes over as the quote-unquote head of the Empire of Aldana. Right? Or the Imperial Order of Aldana. No. But what is stated is that, let me see. What is why did I click out of that? I'm so sorry. While he doesn't have an exact meeting with her, he is trained by her, which is why he has such a close connection to Eliza and Lanceveil. If you've seen my old video, the Holy Trifecta, None of them would be where they are if it wasn't for Lanceveil's sister, in my personal opinion. And she managed to talk to two of them before she left. It's obvious why she wouldn't be able to say, you know, goodbye to Roland or give Roland like that final piece of advice before she vanished because of his high standing. By now, Roland has to take on his role as the prince, as the figurehead, as the leader of his country. But she did, but there are references to this woman in his backstory, which is this excerpt that I was looking for. So I feel that we should, you know, just take a little bit of a deep dive. I'm only going to read this part. Because this actually encompasses both of them, the other two. I was sure that teaching the crown prince would be an affair devoid of substance. I imagined it would be tedious. But seeing Roland's face convinced how wrong I was. He was focused in every respect, so authentic that he was willing to lay his life on the line. I could tell I would have expected nothing less from someone with the blood of the hero Adel. That woman's training was merciless, and not a day went by when Roland wasn't cut or bruised. But he progressed shockingly quickly. He progressed shockingly fast as a swordsman. I'm so sorry. On the other hand, the instructor introduced her younger brother to Roland, and the two had begun to train together. Additionally, she gave a neighbor girl the role of bringing the students lunch. We know who those two are. At the time, there was criticism that lines between public and private were blurred in training, but no amount of public censure would make the instructor keep the two other youngsters apart from Roland. If anything, she wanted Roland to have friends because it was so difficult for others to approach him as the crown prince. The two other students, as it turned out, were the knight Lanceveil and the mage Eliza. In other years, Roland said the following thing about his former instructor. She gave me three things: swordsmanship and two friends. Which further, in my personal opinion, brings me to saying that this is indeed Lanceveil's older sister. We don't know her name. And I could say, look at the little aura around the blade. Lightning. The fact that the blade is so similar to Lanceveil's, the lightning aura, even the hair, the fact that she was a knight, she was the best swordswoman of all the land. It would only make sense that for somebody who trained the prince and both of his personal advisors made Eliza essentially the mage she is now, or pushed her to be the mage she is now, and Lanceveil the beast that he is now, would also end up going toe to toe with not only the advocate, but if they won, would cross swords with her, with Lougseus. Now, here's the speculation, which in my personal opinion is being supported by the final excerpt that I haven't read yet. I believe that we're going to meet her sooner rather than later. It might be in the next story update. We don't know how big it's going to be, but I think we have from the roadmap. I'm going to throw it up. I think it's supposed to be in July, I want to say. I feel like we're going to either get a hint on what happened to her, or we may find her. And the reason I'm saying that is because, and like I said, it's in the final story. Nowhere in like the lore, I even went back and read Degaro's lore. They never once hinted at what happened to her. All they said was that they were defeated, which actually, let's go into it. Let me read it just so you can understand where I'm coming from with this. There is not a soul alive that knows the details of what happened, nor the movements of Ruuto and his party after this point. However, there are some credible rumors that they made it to the continent on which the God of Ruin was sealed. There they said to have battled with the closest servants of the God of Ruin, the four Lords of Ruin. During this battle, they are said to have used up all their strength in defeating 3 of the 4 Lords of Ruin. Zuglis, Rabala, and Baran. Pause. Zuglis, Rabala, and Baran were fought when all 4 of them made it to the continent. They didn't fight Degaro. They fought the 3 under her. Which means, and we can go back to Zuglis. Our boy Zuglis was essentially I'm gonna relate to him as a Tuffle, like in Dragon Ball. He took over Vegeta. He took over Vegeta. Ruuto's body was essentially a host for Zuglis. And at the end of the first arc, when, as I like to say, they did the Avengers scene, and Zuglis tried to stop them from making it to fight Lougseus, Ruuto pulled up wearing the same armor as Zuglis, helmet and all, with a glowing red sword, and essentially fought himself. Which makes me wonder if, at all possible, that Baran and Rabala, whose real names we don't know yet, or like alternate forms we don't know yet, we don't know their real names, it makes me wonder if there's a chance, because we know for a fact Degarog isn't dead. We know that for a fact Degarog isn't dead. We thought that we'd save Ruuto, right? And then Zuglis pulled up, and then Ruuto pulled up again. Is there a chance that Rabala and Baran can be saved? Right, let's just talk about that. Is there a chance that they can be saved? And if so, does that mean that the girl with the blue hair, who I'm going to from now on, I'm going to call her Lanceveil's sister. Does that mean that Lanceveil's sister is possibly being held captive by Degaro? Or, right, because just because they call you a swordswoman or a swordsman doesn't mean that you're not well versed in other forms of combat, in bojutsu, taijutsu, spear jutsu. There's nothing saying that you aren't well established in it. What if Lanceveil's sister is still alive? She might be a whole lot older now. She might be put in a time lock, because with the way it seems, Ruuto was probably still young looking if Theria immediately recognized him. Which means maybe Baran and Rabala, whatever their real names are, could still be saved. Degarog, the remaining member of the Four Lords of Ruin, decided that they should suffer a fate worse than death for the damage that they inflicted, though their actual fate is not mentioned in any of the rumors. The strange thing about the above rumors is that records of the activity by the supposedly defeated Zuglis, Rabala, and Baran from after the time of this battle do exist. Whether this has anything to do with the fate that Degarog has planned for the defeated party remains unclear. We already know that 1, 2, and 3 are the advocates of God. We already know this. We already know that 1, 2, and 3 are advocates of God. What happened to her? Which makes me wonder. This is what I'm saying, because the rumors that popped up that they were defeated, we already know. Infected. What did Degarogue do to the sister? What did Degarogue do to the sister? I'm going out on a limb, and I'm going to say that that there may be another advocate of God out there, that she's probably permanently dead, or that Degarogue fused with her. She's using her body as a host. And I'm honestly hoping that she didn't use her body as a host, because then we got to kill Degarogue just to get her back. I don't want that. Just absolve Degarogue, make her disappear in the fairy dust. But I firmly believe that Ada's just confirmed. Ada's finally told us what happened to Lanceveil's sister. Ada's has finally confirmed what happened to Lanceveil's sister. And I feel like they're also hinting at maybe there's a chance for absolution for Rabala and Baran. We got Ruuto back. Right? We have him back. Maybe there's a chance we could get these two back. Lila back and have a family reunion. And maybe, just maybe, the fact that they threw this in and the aura of the sword, maybe there's a chance Lanceveil, right? Another story, because Last Cloudia has so many stories, like coming in and weaving out. Maybe there's a chance that Lanceveil will finally be able to say goodbye to his sister. Maybe Lanceveil, Roland, and Eliza will finally be able to say goodbye to her, to their mentor, to the reason that all three of them are so close. And the fact that this is going to be my little part that annoys me. The fact that this enticing bit of story, this lore, was stuck with this guy, was stuck with him. I'm so glad that I decided to throw that single, because if I had have checked the other como se dice, spoilers, and I'd have found this out, I'd have been hurt, because I wouldn't have been able to share this with y'all. And yeah, I think that's about it for this video. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think. What do y'all think? Do y'all want to save Lilibet's parents? Like legitimately, do y'all want to save Lilibet's parents? We got Ruuto back. Would you guys mind having, actually knowing what Baran and Rabala's actual name is, having them actually be, reoccurring characters, right? Because I'm pretty sure Ruuto didn't die in the fight, if I remember the cutscene correctly. He didn't die. Like he fought him off. They defeated him, and he was just sitting there. So I already know that Ruuto's gonna pop back up sooner or later, right? Would y'all be interested in seeing something like that? I know for one that I would, right? And let me know what you guys think about the lore, which is another reason why I didn't just write a script and have some gameplay in the background, because I wanted people to read it for themselves and hear my side, and don't be by like, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, oh, and the reason, and this is a little side note, and then I'm gonna stop talking y'all's ears off. The reason that I don't have my face cam on while I do this lore video, one, I don't really think it's necessary. Two, I just moved into a new dojo, and let's just say I'm making it real nice so that y'all have something nice to stare at and watch. I also got a green screen, so I'm practicing on getting that up. I also have Adobe. So yeah. And yeah, so with that being said, the dojo is now closed. I appreciate you all for coming, hanging out with me, letting me nerd out for a little bit. I hope you all enjoyed it. Even if you just threw this up in the background, I still appreciate you. Expect more lore videos. And yeah, because I had a couple of them, other ones pre-recorded. I'm actually gonna re-record them. Once I get more confidence, once I flesh them out. This one was a semi like spur of the moment from me summoning to me just rereading it and then making the connections on my own. Yeah, that being said, it's your boy Dojo, and we out. Later.